The CEO of Kentucky's 120 counties, including Campbell, is the judge executive, the person charged with delivering the services that taxpayers expect for their money. Two candidates are vying for the Campbell County position this fall, Democrat Ken Recton and Republican incumbent Steve Pendery. Pendery has been judge executive since 1999, and before that he served as mayor and council member in Fort Thomas. He's co-owner of Pendery Insurance and Risk Management Group.
In Campbell County, we're lucky to have the College of Informatics at Northern Kentucky University. And they're putting out some of the brightest minds in communications and technology. My question is the fiscal court, what are you able to do to help keep those folks working and starting their businesses here in Campbell County?
I put Dr. Jim Vitruba, the president of the university, on the board of the best economic development agency in the region and the state called Triad. And the relationship helped us develop a strategy for producing diplomas at Northern Kentucky University that are exactly calculated to fill the need for existing business and also to meet the needs of businesses that we're trying to attract into the area.
My question for you is, how high is your priority to help the people in need in our community, whether it be the people with low income, getting our young children ready for school, or the elderly in our community?
We have senior services that are financed with a tax that was voted by the public for that purpose. It's a payroll tax, and we have over 20 different programs that are actually run by other agencies. We pick and choose according to efficacy, which are the best, and we finance them.
The heroin epidemic poses a real threat to our public safety. Tell us one plan or new idea to help us alleviate this problem.
What Campbell County is doing that is unique is that we are going to create a substance abuse program in our jail. The theory being over half the population is in there for some sort of drug-related or heroin-related offense. And while they're enjoying our hospitality and they're being cared for, fed, and clothed, and while, not coincidentally, they are not going to have access to their drug of choice, we're in a position to deliver treatment that actually may have a chance to make a difference.
Please speak to how you, as County Judge Executive, see your role in promoting and preserving natural resources in our county, including farmland, green space, recreational parkland, and promoting clean air and water.
There's been a big emphasis on the preservation of green space and parkland and the fostering of agriculture in the south end of our county. And most of the activity is generated by the residents themselves with a helping hand, I would tell you, from county government.
I was wondering how you would define fiscal responsibility and how you feel that you differ from your opponent in terms of spending the taxpayers' money responsibly.
Well, I would define fiscal responsibility as the Campbell County Fiscal Court. We've had 16 consecutive balanced budgets, even though there's been a roller coaster of an economy out there to deal with, as you know, and especially in the last few years. And when you look at expenditure per resident, we have the lowest spending per resident of any full-service government in Northern Kentucky.
I'm an owner of rental property in Newport, Kentucky, and oftentimes I have to get permits to do the work on my property through Campbell County, and it takes quite a bit of time. And I'm wondering, how do we streamline that process to speed it up?
Our approach in the past has been, rather than hiring the Northern Kentucky area planning people to do all of our inspection work and a lot of our permitting, we do it ourselves. And I guess I'd be alarmed if the delays you're experiencing are too inconvenient. We would need to try to do better than that.
I need to know what you intend to do to make Campbell County more competitive and more aggressive in creating new jobs.
During the decade from 2000 to 2010, we had a higher percentage of private sector job growth in Campbell County than even Boone County. So we are getting our share of job creation. The fact is that we work best in creating jobs when we work as a region.
Before you vote November 4th, make sure you've carefully studied the candidate's position so the decision you make is an informed one. Tom McKean out on your side at the Campbell County Courthouse in Newport. From downtown to Springfield Township, the Ohio Senate's 9th District is a huge territory that's going to get new representation this fall because Democrat incumbent Eric Kearney is term limited. This is a district that includes much of Cincinnati, plus Norwood, Wyoming, and other Mill Creek Valley communities. Democrat Cecil Thomas and Republican Charles Winburn are seeking the seat. Winburn is executive pastor at Renew Community Church and a member of Cincinnati City Council. I sat down with him to ask about key issues in the race. What do you think the #1 problem in the district is, and how do you plan to solve it?
You know, the #1 problem in the district, as I go from door to door throughout the entire district, citizens tell me jobs in the local economy. Now, I know that's big, but I think what they're talking about is bringing businesses to their area, actually getting headquarter organizations to come and to create jobs in their community. Now, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to work with the Ohio State Senate, both Republicans and Democrats, actually to put together an economic development zones that I would like to bring to Cincinnati.
How will you as the state senator try to bring more state dollars to local governments?
I plan to work with the Republicans and the Democrats to convince them to restore the local government funds so that all of the city of Cincinnati, our villages and small towns will have this additional money to help them grow their economy to create jobs.
How hard will you push for job creation and job expansion in the district?
I have a demonstrated and proven record of doing that. While I was the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee, I oversaw 4,400 new jobs come to the city of Cincinnati as a result of the incentives that we offered these businesses like GE, General Electric that's coming to the banks. I will do the same thing with the Ohio Senate and working with the governor to try to bring these types of businesses to our district here in the city of Cincinnati.
What services or programs have not yet been created that could help people escape poverty?
I would like to see an economic empowerment zones whereby we take the areas that are in our district that have high unemployment and high poverty and work with corporations and companies to create a comprehensive educational plan and job training programs that will train underemployed and those who are not employed and get companies and provide them the incentives to train these people.
What do you do at the state level to make housing more affordable?
What we need to do is do some more in the area of new home ownership. We need to attract more people back to the district. There are people that have moved way up to Mason and moved out to Blue Ash. I would like to get some of those people to come back to Cincinnati or greater Cincinnati by providing more quality housing.
What will you do to help curb crime involving youth as victims and perpetrators?
I think what we got to do is look at safety. In the area of safety, citizens are afraid of home invasions. They're afraid of theft, and they're concerned in that area. I think that by being a member of the Ohio State Senate, I'll be able to work with the fire department, police association, and developing better training programs so that we can have our officers and citizens, like Citizens on Patrol. I would like to see that funded also at the state level, not just at the local level, where citizens are more involved in combating crime and taking responsibility for their neighborhood and having their own self-determination. I think these young kids, many of these young kids that are standing out on the blocks, I think what I would like to do is to develop a real mentoring program whereby we have outreach workers that will go out on the block and become surrogate fathers and surrogate mothers to these individuals on the block and try to get them back into educational training programs and also bringing safety and education together. I think that's key.
How much of a role will ethics play in your term as a state senator?
Ethics are one of my highest priority. I'm 63 years old. I'm too old to be going to jail. And so I think doing things illegal, I have a policy that if it's illegal, immoral, or unethical, we need to stay away from it. I think ethics is very important.
This is a district with a majority of African American voters that's gone for Democrats in past years, including Mark Mallory and Bill Bowen. Will that continue? Well, it's up to voters on November 4th. Tom McKean out on your side downtown. Will Republicans maintain control of the Hamilton County Commission? Well, that's what voters are going to decide this November when one of these 3 seats is up for election. 2 candidates are vying for the position, Republican incumbent Chris Monzel and Democrat Sean Feeney. Monzel is an engineer for GE Aviation and lives with his wife and children in Glendale.
The City of Cincinnati has purchased the streetcar and funded the construction. My question is regarding the operating costs of the streetcar. If the city were to approach the county commissioners for funding for the operation, what would your position be?
My position on the streetcar when I was on Cincinnati City Council and now as a county commissioner is I do not support it. I will not support any operating costs of the streetcar to be funded by Hamilton County citizens.
Right now, as builders, it takes us longer to obtain building permits in Hamilton County than it does in any of the other surrounding counties. What steps would you take to help streamline that process to help us really grow this economy?
As Hamilton County Commissioner, we've actually instituted a red tape cutter, a position that we've hired an individual who came from the development industry to come into Hamilton County to try and fix our processes.
There's a considerable debate surrounding the availability of affordable housing throughout the county. What is your specific plan on expanding affordable housing so that everyone can live the American dream?
Well, Taylor, I believe that Hamilton County has a lot of affordable housing already. We have areas within the city of Cincinnati and our surrounding communities within the county that have affordable housing opportunities. Working with the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority, we have opportunities for those residents who can't afford housing to be able to get those programs necessary in order to live the American dream just like everyone else.
Last winter, it seemed like roads out here in the western side of Hamilton County were very slow in getting both plowed and potholes repaired. As the county is responsible for road maintenance, what are your plans in the event we have another bad winter to make sure the roads are properly maintained?
Working with the Hamilton County engineer, Ted Hubbard, we make sure that we have enough salt and supplies available to us. We've just found out the salt has increased due to the amount of consumption over the past few years, but we've gone in and reduced our costs to be able to afford that, as well as making sure that we have the machinery available to plow the county roads so that we can make sure that folks can get to work, get to school safely and on time.
As County Commissioner, what actions will you take to encourage intergovernment dialogue and collaboration, such as shared services?
Shared services are a very important aspect for all local governments, and it's not something new. We've been doing this for many, many years, and it's based on the limited amount of budgets that we have. By Ohio law, we have to balance our budget, and therefore, in order to provide our services, sometimes we have to do shared services with other municipalities and with other governments. That's something that I've been working on with the City of Cincinnati to come up with those ideas, such as fleet services between the cars between the city and the county, as well as looking at other areas of vital records that the county can handle that operation for the city, or such things as doing inspections on medical gases that are utilized at hospitals or doctor offices across the county. Those types of services are things that the city pays for right now that, combining with the county, we could do it at a much lower cost and more efficiently. So we will continue to pursue that. We've set up a working committee between the county and the city to look at those ideas, but also encouraging other communities throughout Hamilton County to share those services as well in order to reduce the cost to the taxpayers.
There are a lot of people in Hamilton County who are finding it difficult to make ends meet for their families. Could you please describe how you might help these people in need with food, clothing, shelter, and other important assistance?
We offered various different programs through our Job and Family Services Department at Hamilton County that will help families get through these tough times through supplemental assistance, through Medicaid, through child support, areas that are so critical in order to make our families thrive in Hamilton County.
We all know that local governments are faced with providing services to the citizens while dealing with limited resources. If you had to choose, would you raise taxes or cut services?
We've been forced to make that decision in Hamilton County, and what we've tried to do is keep our taxes as low as possible. So I would not raise taxes. I would look at trying to either reduce services or reduce costs of those services.
There is another candidate who wants to become a Hamilton County Commissioner. He's Democrat Jim Tarbell, former member of Cincinnati City Council, and he's a write-in candidate for this seat. Tom McKee, 9 on your side, downtown. Ohio's economy has improved a great deal the past 4 years, but how that occurred is a matter of great debate in the race for governor this year. The biggest point is an $8 billion deficit was turned into a $1.5 billion surplus. Some say stay the course the next 4 years. Others say the impact of getting there was too much on too many people. Now it's up to voters to decide between Democrat Ed Fitzgerald and Republican incumbent John Kasich. Fitzgerald is the Cuyahoga County executive in Cleveland, an attorney and a former FBI agent and county prosecutor.
Manufacturing is truly a key to the success of the state of Ohio moving into the future. Taxes are a real burden on manufacturers in order to grow their business. What steps can you take in order to help us grow our businesses and bring more jobs to the state of Ohio?
It's a great question. Taxes are always one of the factors in terms of business expansion.
It seems that the gap between low income and higher income people is growing, and some citizens are falling through the cracks. What will you do as governor to provide a safety net for those who are truly disadvantaged and need a helping hand?
It doesn't just seem like it, that is what's happening.
We're coming out of the recent economic recession, but people are still nervous about their money. What can you do as governor to ensure we do not suffer another economic collapse?
Matt, that is a very good question. Part of the problem is that we're not really out of the recession that we went through in the first place.
Currently, charter schools have fewer restrictions in the operation of their schools, such as a more flexible school day and staffing approaches. What is your position in easing some of the requirements for all public schools so that greater innovative ideas and approaches can be considered?
Well, I think it's important, Doctor, to give our teachers the resources they need, the tools they need, and the flexibility that they need.
What specific plans do you have in creating new programs for inner city youth that they might be able to take advantage of opportunities to advance their educational endeavors and have jobs and opportunities where they won't be caught up in crime?
I'd say a couple things. First of all, what we know for sure is if a child gets to the end of their high school period of time and they're not getting some kind of advanced vocational training or they're not headed to college, the chances of that child being anything other than a minimum wage worker are pretty low.
In the last few years, Ohio government spending and taxing has shifted from the state to local jurisdictions, and this shift has affected these communities. Should this trend continue? Why or why not?
Absolutely not. It's one of my main issues in this campaign.
It's been almost 2 decades since the Ohio Supreme Court determined that it was unconstitutional to fund our schools the way that we currently do. Two-part question. One, what will you do to help schools now because they're in dire financial straits? And two, isn't it time that we find a better way of funding our public schools?
Great question. It was 1997 that the Ohio Supreme Court said that our method of funding public education in this state was unconstitutional. You're exactly right.
Don't forget, if you plan on voting in person on Election Day, you must bring a government-issued ID, a military ID, or some sort of utility bill proving your address. Tom McKee, 9 on your side in Columbus.